Hello everybody. Today we'll be dealing with functions in Python. So what is a function? So like a function is it's a subprogram in Python. So it performs one specific action and it can be invoked throughout the program anywhere. So we don't need to rewrite the code again and again. It can also be invoked from a different file. So you can just borrow a function from a different file without having to rewrite the code. And also makes the code more readable and modular so others can understand your code better. So what is a function? So like we can see the examples of many functions over here. So let's look at the function saying calculate grade. So it takes an argument called score. An argument is like a variable the function deals with. So with the score, it checks if the score is greater than equal to 90. So it returns a grade of A. If the score is greater than equal to 80, it returns a grade of B. If it's greater than equal to 70, it returns C, and so on. Next, we see calculate final grade. So this function, instead of one argument, it has two arguments. So it has midterm score and final score. So it just averages them out, like just adds them up and divides it by two. And it returns the average score variable, which stores the averaged out value. Let's look at the third one. This one has three different arguments. So the report contains the student's name and grade, and if there are no comments provided, then we just ignore it because the comments section was optional, and it just returns it. If there is a comment section, it skips this part. Then we have an actual comment that's being put inside the report. Then we have calculate weighted grade. This function also has three different parameters or arguments. Then the last one, the float exam weight, is optional. The exam score and project score are mandatory. So the weighted average, there's a function over here you can see exam score times by exam weight plus project score times 1 minus exam weight. This gives us weighted average, which we can get. If the exam weight is not provided since it's optional, it defaults to 0.7. Similarly, if no comments are provided, it defaults to the string no comments provided in the previous function. And now let's move on to the next one. So this is the main function. So this is like the main program where we're invoking other functions. For example, we invoke the calculate grade function here. We invoke the calculate final grade function, generate report function again over here. Then calculate weighted grade over here. So the main function is always the part of the program where you just invoke all the other functions. So it can be considered as like the main body of a program. So these other functions, they can be put into a separate file and they can just be invoked from there, which we'll learn about later. So let's move on to returning values instead of passing values. So functions only after they perform an action, they return values using the return statement, which you can see over here in pink. These return values can be of any data type and can be used for further processing or stored in variables. So functions can also return multiple values, which Python packs into like a tuple by default. So calculate average scores. So they take the total of the scores and they divide it by number of scores inside of a list. Then it returns the average. Determine letter grade, you can see here. It's the same program as the one before. Calculate grade. it has the possibility to return many different things, which is why it's mentioned here. So then there's another function, get score details. So this returns like this returns all of this, like the minimum of the score section, the maximum of the score section, and the average of the score section, where it invokes the calculate average score from before over here. The analyze performance score takes the average grade. If the grade is in A and B, it says excellent work. If the grade is C, it says good job, keep improving. Else, it says I'm improving your scores. It also returns average, grade, and message. It returns three different things together. So this shows that functions can return more than a single result. So now we come back to the main function. We just invoke everything else. So let's run this program. So it returns a single value over here, return average. So it returned 86.60. Next one, it chooses which one to return. So it returns B. Here it returns a dictionary where each value is connected, like each parameter is connected with a value. Like min is connected with the minimum actual number of scores, max is connected with the maximum actual value of scores, and the average is like the averaged out values of the various values in the scores. So, and let's move on to the fourth one. Here it returns average, grade, and message. It's like average is here, grade is B, message, excellent work, Alice, return type, and class are tuple. In the main function, everything is invoked, which we can see the result of over here. So whenever you use a function, never forget to actually invoke the function, just because like just creating the function, like it won't just magically just start working, because you have to like invoke the function on an actual variable with a value. So don't forget to do that. Now let's move on to this one. So you can import functions from another file, as you can see here. From helper functions, import, add, and subtract. So helper functions is this file. So where all the functions are defined using the def command. So def add a and b, subtract, multiply, greet. So you come back here and result add. So like we use these functions everywhere. So additionally, we can import an entire module, like import helper functions. Other modules like commonly used are like random, numpy, and many others like time as well. Result multiply is helper functions. Then you put a point, then you invoke the function and after writing after the point. So like as you can see here, helper functions point multiply 6 comma 7. So this does print 6 multiplied by 7 equals result multiply. You can import with an alias as well. If you don't want to refer, like if you don't want to type this out again and again over here, like it's like typed out here, you can just type hf dot multiply 6 comma 7. It will do the same thing, but you have to mention that you're importing this as hf. Next, importing all functions. So when you just put an apostrophe, it imports everything. So you can just reuse it again and again everywhere. This is not recommended for large modules as they contain many functions. It might just cause cluttering up of your memory. Then we have nested modules. Assuming helper function is in like a utils package. So this is like one of more advanced topics, so I just decide not like just we'll just skip it. Now we have the main function over here. Then we're invoking all the different functions. So the result we can see now. can see the addition over here, subtraction, multiplication, alias. We did it here, href alias. Importing all functions. Both of these work. And then importing nested module, skipping that. Then the main function execution, it's being implemented over here. Then we have the multiply function inside the main function, which we can see implemented here. Then the greet function using the alias href, which you're seeing implemented here. Then at the end, after you type out the main function, since it's just like any other function, you have to mention it at the end so that it actually runs. Instead, like if you just write it out, it just like won't work. You have to remember to actually invoke it at the end so it actually runs and your program runs. So that's pretty much it for functions. And these are used like throughout like everything you use for programming. It's really useful for like when you're working with other people and they need to be able to easily understand your code. So you use this a lot. So yeah, that's it for today. So thank you for watching.